Blog Talk Radio.
Well, welcome, Kingdom citizens, and thank you again for tuning in for another show of Let's Talk Kingdom with Catrina. I just thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to give us 30 minutes of your time to hear our wonderful, wonderful guests that have taken the time out of their schedule to be a blessing to you with some wonderful information. And today we have an awesome man of God that will be coming on, who's actually on the line now, and is going to give us some wonderful information in the entertainment business. Mr. Mentor, are you on the line?
Good evening, Catrina. Good evening to your listeners. Yes, I'm here and ready to roll with you.
Oh, great. This is Kendall Mentor, everybody. He is out of Stone Mountain, Georgia. And before we give him the floor, I just want to read a little bit of his bio that I got off of his website. It says, Kendall A. Mentor, a native of New York, and a graduate and senior class president of Flushing High School, began his professional path at Cornell University, where he participated in the sixth-year combined arts/law program, graduating with a BA majoring in political science in 74 and with a JD from Cornell Law School in 76. I tell you that he's got so many accolades and things that are on his website, and I encourage you to check out his stuff. But in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and interview him, if that's okay with our listeners. We've got some awesome good questions for him. And so, Mr. Mentor, just let's go ahead and just start right now. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as you suggested from my bio information, Catrina, I am a native New Yorker. And even though I am living in the South, I guess I'm a Yankee who's moved south for a kinder, gentler, warmer, more friendly, easier living city, which is what Atlanta is. And I moved down here about 18 years ago, which was a fantastic time to relocate my practice from New York City, where I had spawned it, into Atlanta, because at that time, if your listeners recall, that was the boom of TLC and Usher and Toni Braxton and Goody Mob and Outkast and just so many other acts and producers and record companies that were exploding in the Atlanta music scene during the late 90s. And I was fortunate enough to be here when that kind of reached its zenith. And a lot of my clients who are, still local to Atlanta were benefiting from that heyday of music rising here. So I'm a native New Yorker living in Atlanta. I still keep an active practice not only in New York but throughout the United States, and have many clients overseas as well. And my practice is what I call a boutique practice, because I don't do a lot of things as a general practitioner might do. My area of specialty is the entertainment industry, and it covers all gamuts of the business, which includes predominantly music, but also touches on representation of clients and entrepreneurs and content creators in the film and television genre, as well as live theater, model, actors, producers, executives, songwriters, managers. So it's pretty much of a pretty wide spread across the entertainment spectrum. And, I've been doing it for a while. I enjoy doing it, and it's something that I have a passion for, and I've had the opportunity to be able to take my expertise and my passion and my contacts and spread that out through a variety of other organizations that I have either founded or been a founding member of, and served on the boards of directors over the years, which includes the Black Entertainment and Sports Lawyers Association, which is about almost 35 years old now.
Wow.
We call it BESLA. So I was one of the founding directors of that, which started in the late 1970s. Also, the Rhythm and Blues Foundation, which I served as chairman for many years, and I now serve as chairman emeritus, and the R&B Foundation, which is headquartered with Kenny Gamble at his organization in Philadelphia, provides emergency financial assistance to pioneer R&B artists from the 40s through the 80s who are falling on hard times. And a lot of folks are falling on hard times these days. So that organization is fortunate enough through grants from Universal Motown and Berry Gordy to provide a little bit of a financial cushion and a safety net, if you will, for those musicians that qualify for the grants to help them out with medical needs, professional needs, housing needs, and unfortunately sometimes burials and funerals as well. Then I also serve on the Living Legends Foundation, which has a similar mission and task, and my most recent addition to the what I call the unpaid give back nonprofit sector is for the past 6 years I've served as one of the artist representatives on the board of directors of Sound Exchange, which is a performing rights society that monitors and collects the revenue from satellite XM Sirius radio, from Pandora, from webcasters, from digital music providers, and it pays those royalties to artists and to record companies. So I keep a pretty full and busy schedule.
Wow, that is a lot that you do. Now, I was going to piggyback because you were talking about all the things that your law office does. Now, how many do you have working, particularly as your staff?
Well, we have a small staff. It's lean and mean. It's just myself, an associate, an intern, and my right-hand office manager, Louise Ferguson, who's been with me for more years than either of the two of us are going to admit publicly.
Wow. Well, I tell you, you've got a busy schedule, but I just thank God that, again, you have allowed your gift that God has given you just to be a blessing to the kingdom. So tell me about some of the clients that you work with in the gospel industry and the other genres.
Well, I would have to say I've been really blessed, Catrina. Obviously, it's a blessing because none of this is anything that any of us can demand or expect. We can only do and put out the seed that we can plant and hope that it'll nurture good fruit. And for me, it has. My first gospel client was actually introduced to me by a friend of mine here in Atlanta named Melanie Few, who was a brand representative matching gospel artists with corporations for branding. And during the Olympics that were here in 1996, she introduced me to Kirk Franklin. And Kirk and I kind of hit it off, and we bonded, and we kind of, attached each other to the hip. And then we rode the wagon of his success for many, 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 many years, and are still very close friends and work together on an occasional basis from time to time. And, we went through all the good gold and platinum days with Kirk and all of his hit songs that he put out during that time and still does. Our families are very close with each other. So that was my first entry into the gospel market, and as a result of that, kind of met and worked with and negotiated and did deals with Vicky Mack and her husband Claude Latoya, who were the founders of Gospel Centric. And then, I guess it's not unusual that, when you have a successful client, others follow. So behind Kirk came other artists like Fred Hammond and Tasha Cobbs and Ernest Pugh and Juanita Bynum. And I guess I've been extra blessed over the past couple of years because my what I call my ministry practice has expanded beyond just the individual artist to now representing some of the larger churches. So I've been fortunate enough to be tasked to represent Arrow Records, which is based here in Atlanta. And for those unfamiliar with Arrow, it's the label that is housed at World Changers, operated by Dr. Creflo Dollar and his wife, First Lady Pastor Taffy Dollar. The general manager over there, Capriccio Skates, kind of brought me in when he became general manager a year ago. So that label is kind of redefining itself right now. In addition to a hot new sermons project out that is in the market currently by Creflo Dollar, we've got Ann Nesby and Tim Burrell in the studio, and Ann Nesby's single just dropped this week, so that's being worked, and there are a number of other artists, including Canton Jones and Sean Locke, and just a host of very talented artists coming out of Arrow. I also work with Victory World Church. I was brought in there by Montel Jordan, who's the minister of music there, and his wife, Kristen. And then for those familiar with the Atlanta scene, there's Pastor Dewey Smith and the Greater Travelers Rest Baptist Church, as well as my own home church in Bishop Eddie Long in New Birth. And I operate as their attorney for their entertainment and music-related activities, working a lot with his son, Elder Edward Long Jr. So it keeps me kind of busy. It keeps my soul kind of nourished and keeps me motivated.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. And also, just with the gospel, in the other arenas like R&B, and you have the opportunity to be a light and a beacon, because there's not too many saved folk in those other arenas, but, they really are. But, when you let your light shine, it doesn't matter what you're singing, whether it's gospel, R&B, jazz. Right. If God's in you, his light's going to just beam out of you. So how do you sometimes have to deal with the other genres of music, or, is
well,
there
it's pretty easy. Yeah, it's actually something that I guess we all do without even really thinking about it, because if you just look at and listen to what's going on radio today, radio represents a cross-section of what's happening in society. So obviously listeners have the choice of listening by just switching the dial or hitting the mouse if they're on internet and going from station to station. But I find that for all of us, if not most of us, the soundtrack, the fabric that has formed a consistent piece of our lives from childbirth until death has been music. And in addition to those clients that I have the pleasure of working with in the gospel arena, I've had, and still do, many, many clients that are in the R&B, that are in the jazz, that are in the reggae, that are in the new age, that are in the hip-hop and rap community. So, and it's been a wide spectrum. Some of my jazz folks I have great pleasure working with are Roy Ayers. Roy was actually my very first client of major stature back in 1980 when I started my own practice. And he said, hey, I'm going to give this kid a chance, because that's what I was at that time. And Roy is still a client. We talk several times a week, and he's, kind of like a client/friend/family since we've been together over 30 years. But also people like Cassandra Wilson. I had the pleasure of representing and working with Lena Horne before she passed away and actually did her last record deal at Blue Note. And then I represented it, still do, and work with Ashanti when she was just 14 years old before she even had a record deal. And now she's gone on to continue to do great things musically, and she's one of the new stars on the hit show Army Wives. And, I did the Backstreet Boys record deal, as well as working with Jagged Edge, and did a lot of time in Jamaica, a lot of fun time in Jamaica, working with a variety of Jamaican artists like Third World and Shabba Ranks and Patra and Cobra and Barrington Levy and Musical Youth. And then here in Atlanta with folks like Goody Mob and Yin Yang Twins, and folks up in Philadelphia like Music Soul Child, and a lot of producers and executives too. So what you find is that even though individuals may be involved in different types or genres of music, in the quiet moments when it's just them or them and family members and friends, and the public persona comes off, you have more often than not folks that are God-fearing, that respect and love family, and that try to do the right thing. And that's what kind of keeps me going.
Wow. And, that's so wonderful to hear that. That's one of the things that, I've been definitely hearing as I interview a lot of people in music and just the other spectrums of politics and, law and, just everything that we've been bringing forth on the show, that they're saying that it's now more of ministry now is more marketplace. It's no longer in the four walls of the church. And if God is in you and the Spirit of God lives in you and you know and know who you are in Christ, it doesn't matter where you go, because your light will shine. And then someone that may not know Christ or have that relationship will come to you in those still small moments, and say, hey, tell me about your God, or, how do you do it? And that is the time when God really gets the glory. And
absolutely.
And I just love to hear that, because I think we are at a time and place now in the world where people are tired of religion and they're tired of people pretending, but they want to see the real children of God come forth.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they really peel back the cloak.
Yes, and rip open that veil. Well, tell us about the state of the music industry today, the challenges and just some of the opportunities out there.
Well, the challenges for the music industry are multiple for those folks that are on the creative side, as well as the business and entrepreneurial side. It's no secret that we've been in a recession for many, many years, since 2008, and even though, publicly they say the recession is over, for a lot of folks, you would never know it. And as a result, there are fewer what I call disposable, discretionary dollars to spend on entertainment than there were many, many years ago. Plus, with the explosion of the Internet, as you well know, Catrina, a lot of folks are online getting their music, whereas in days before, they would take that $10 or $15 and they go down to Tower Records, or they would go to Walmart or Best Buy or Target and pick up a CD. Well, CDs are kind of becoming a thing of the past, just the same way that cassettes and 8-tracks have gone many, many years before. And now we're in an environment where music consumption, this past year in 2012, on the digital side, downloads and digital consumption of music has surpassed physical CD sales. So it's 59% digital and 41% physical CD sales now. So you have that combined with the fact that many, many people are still getting music free. And whether it's young folks or whether it's older folks that just don't want to pay, it is an environment that has caused a steady and consistent decline in revenues coming into the music business, because people are now finding other ways to get the same music without having to pay anything for it. So you've got that, which, started with Napster and then Grokster and LimeWire and a whole bunch of other sites that followed those. After one got shut down, another one would start up. Then you have even just what even paid digital online sales. People don't have to necessarily buy albums anymore, because if you remember, when CD albums were really, really popular, folks would go out and buy the whole album, even if there was only like one track or two tracks that you liked on the album. You'd pick up the album anyway. But now with iTunes, you can just cherry pick the songs that you like off the album at $99 to $1.29 a piece. So if an album only has one or two good songs that you really like, why would you spend $10 when you can spend $1 and get that one track? So that also, consumer buying patterns have impacted the revenue coming in. So the bottom line is there are much fewer disposable dollars coming back into the music industry as a whole that can then be regenerated into new artist signings, into artist development, into marketing and promotion, and then that has a rippling effect, because years ago there were 6 or 7 major U.S. record companies. Now there's only really 3. Now you have the Sony Music Group, you have the Universal Music Group, and you have the Warner's Music Group. A year ago you had EMI, but EMI got cherry-picked and sold off and broken up in 2, so that Universal now owns EMI Records, and Sony Music now owns EMI Music Publishing. So there's really only 3 truly integrated major labels and a lot of independent labels. So the result is there are fewer places to go on the major side. There are fewer dollars being spent for marketing, promotion, and artist development, therefore fewer artists being signed. And there are a lot more independent labels that are vying for the consumer's attention and the consumer's dollar. And for the independents, which is the way most artists have to go, you have to compete in a space that's very, very crowded. It takes marketing money to take your product to the top of the recognizable pile above all the other 1,000 records that might have been released online that particular week, if not that day. So it's a very competitive space, and with YouTube, anybody can put up a video and put up a song made from a home iPhone or computer literally in less than 24 hours. So how do you get your music heard and how do you get your music purchased is the challenge that most artists have these days. So the business has changed. It's changed significantly. Therefore, any artists that are coming into the game now have to really be astute, and they have to be students of social media. They have to know how to really work the YouTube, the Twitter, the Facebook, the Reverb Nation, the TuneCore, the CD Babies, the Sonic Biz. all the other various legitimate online portals for artist development and the sale of artist music. And, you know, if you cut your costs down, which you can do now because of technology and Pro Tools and everything else, you can actually make a living of it, but you have to be astute about the business practices and match those up with the creative side, and hopefully they'll meet in the middle and you'll have a successful career. But it's definitely doable because a lot of people are doing it, but a lot of folks are just, you know, playing at it as a hobby.
Yeah, and that's true. And it does. It takes a lot of time and energy, you know, just for myself as an independent artist. You know, I find myself on the, on the computer, you know, sometimes hours and hours, you know, a day just trying to network and, you know, just like you said, marketing and making sure that you're up on your Twitter and, you know, all of the sites that you're on. It is a lot. And, you know, when you're signed with a record company, you know, one of the major ones, you know, you've got somebody to do that for you. But when you're an independent artist, it's much harder, and, you know, you've got to work twice as hard to do that. So, yeah, it can be very challenging. But tell us some of the projects that you're working on.
Well, right now, in addition to my practice and my nonprofit boards that I sit on, I'm excited about what I call a lifestyle channel and program that myself, my wife, and a few other partners kind of launched back in December of last year, and it's called Fantabulous Hair. And it kind of came about as an intersection between what my wife, Pamela Renee, does and myself in the entertainment legal side. She's a celebrity stylist, originally from Chicago. And she, you know, hosts for the past 25 or more years a wide arranging clientele that includes celebrities, that includes professionals, doctors, lawyers, business people, and just regular folks that have been loyal clients for a long time. She's made a couple of appearances on Oprah. She did the Divas Ball. So, and she's very talented and passionate about what she does. She's real animated. So what we did is we formed a company with a couple of other folks, Sandra Lewis Glass, who is a very, very talented producer here in Atlanta. Another partner, Reggie Carter, who has an investment company that invests in entertainment vehicles. We teamed up with a lady here named April Green, who owns Hair Design, Future Salons in Atlanta, a fantastic salon. And we took all of our individual energies, homogenized it into one project, and it came out as Fantabulous Hair. So we have webisodes. We have the first series that's already up and running. The second series is in post-production right now, and we'll launch within the next 30 days. And each episode on the web series basically takes Pamela through the salon, and a variety of different clients with different hair conditions are all, you know, the subjects of, well, this is my problem, and she comes up with the solutions, and they do it in an entertaining and educational way. And we can be viewed on YouTube. Our page is up also on Facebook, so if you go to Facebook, please be sure to like us, and also on our own website, which is www.fantabuloushair.com. And when the second season comes, what we will be doing is the episodes are going to be a little longer, so probably between 5 and 10 minutes, and they're going to have a little bit of, I hate to call it reality ingredients in there, but it'll be more interactive as opposed to just predominantly educational and informational. So it'll be education, information, and entertainment with the game plan of just not only bringing folks up to speed on how to get and maintain healthy hair and scalp, but also to give them a little fun at the same time while they're viewing the shows. And our goal ultimately is, before the year is out, to pitch it and take it to a 30-minute weekly episode series on television on one of the networks. And then my other project that's kind of consuming time when I can find some time is I've been working on my own book, which is an examination of the current business model, the new business model in the music business, kind of like a primer for folks to get in, understand the dynamics, and how to succeed while negotiating their deals and propelling their careers forward.
Wow,
so
when is that going to be out? I need that book.
It'll actually be up and running in about 6 weeks.
Oh, great, great. Well, we've got a little bit more time. We've got about 5 more minutes. So my last question that I wanted to ask you tonight was, give some of our audience just some recommendations for talent, the creative folks and, entrepreneurs. Give them, some recommendations for what they may be, looking for to do in their business, in their music, whatever it is.
The same recommendations may apply pretty much across the board for talent as well as the executives and entrepreneurs on the business side, which is, first, you have to be passionate about this business, about what you're doing. Because if you're not passionate, I tell folks, don't quit your day job. Because this is a business that'll eat you up if you don't have the perseverance and the patience and the fortitude to put up with all of the nonsense that you're going to put up with. And I don't say nonsense negatively. It's just, sometimes when you deal with people, they come with their baggage, and some of that baggage is nonsense. And you've got to deal with it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So you have to be passion-driven about being in this business, and then realize that none of us can do any of this alone. We all need a team to support ourselves, and whether it's, on the family level or whether it's your small circle of friends, and then as your business grows, your practice or your career or your opportunities grow, your team will grow. So you have to have a backup team. You got to have a support system in place. And in the music industry, that includes, obviously, without tooting my own horn, it includes a qualified, experienced lawyer. It includes a qualified and experienced finance person who can not only run the numbers for you, but also hopefully they're a CPA who can make sure that the taxes are properly handled so the IRS doesn't come knocking at your door and snatching your stuff away when you are in arrears. It includes a qualified manager who is not learning on the job at your expense, but coming to the picture with existing contacts and experience that can take your career and your business from A to Z. At certain levels, it will include, for artists, a qualified talent agent, booking agent, as some folks call it, who can find your work, who can be able to get out there and make the calls and use their network to get those paying gigs in. You need a publicist. There are some great publicists in our business. I won't start naming names because if I name one, then the other five will say what happened to me. But there are some great publicists in New York and Atlanta and California that really go above and beyond the call of duty and do great service for their clients, and I work with quite a few of them, and they're really a pleasure to work with. But you have to network, and folks come in and they ask, what do we need to do? It's relationship building and networking, learning, and then taking that knowledge and putting it into practical application, because the entertainment business is obviously in part based on your talents and what you know, but an equal part of that ingredient is who you know, because you could be the most talented person around, you could be the most educated person around, but if you can't get your phone call answered, to get a deal, to get a song listened to take a meeting, to get a job, then all the what you knows is not going to be worth a hill of beans, because the who you knows are going to stop you from proceeding. So you just have to kind of take all of those pieces of the wheel and put them into the mix, and at the center of it and surrounding it like a wheel, you've got to, kind of leverage it with a lot of prayer. Because we can only do and have faith in what we're able to do, and you have to take that as far as you can, and then at that point you have to leave it in the hands of the Lord and pray and trust that He will deliver that which is supposed to be delivered unto you at the time when it's supposed to be, which may not be when you want it, which is the case for most of us. We want it now, but if it's to be, it will be when it's supposed to be.
Amen. I totally agree with that. When you come to a place where you know that what God has given you shall be shared with the next and with the world, you just be patient. And in those times, that may be some grooming time, some education time for you to get yourself prepared. I always believe in being prepared. That is just one of my biggest pet peeves for myself. I like to know what I'm getting into before I get into it, because sometimes people will take advantage of you, so you have to make sure you're educated. I always say that education is very, very important.
Absolutely.
I just so I'm so grateful that you have given our listeners, especially I know some of our artists, some really good information. I want you, when you get an opportunity, to post or send me some information, and I can post it on our Facebook page so they can go back out and, kind of look and pull up some information that you talked about today. And I would love for you to send me that, and we can get it out to our listeners so they can, educate themselves more and more. And let us know when your book's coming out. I'll definitely be tacking it your email to let us know. And we'll also tell people about your wife's Facebook page as well. And we want to know when that episode comes out. So I really appreciate all the information you've given to us tonight.
That was my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, listeners, I hope you got your information tonight. I'm full myself. I've gotten a big education piece tonight as well. So I hope you take everything that you've heard tonight and use it, pray about it, listen to it, and educate yourself and get yourself prepared for your destiny that's getting ready to go forth. And, God, we just thank you tonight. And before we close out, I always ask our guests to close out with prayer. So, I'm from old school, so if I keep calling you Mr. Mentor, that's
okay.
How I was raised.
Not a problem.
Please close our show out with a word of prayer.
My pleasure. Dear Lord, thank you for giving us the opportunity to share this information and share this time together tonight. Thank you for reminding us, Lord, that we are all connected. We are all one from the body of you. And if we do the right thing, when we do the right thing, those deeds will be amply rewarded. So keep us all on the path. Give us the strength, despite the challenges that will inevitably face us each and every day, to work through them. Let not the devil intercede in this path, and give us the ability to be able to know that your work will be rewarded justly in the right time. Amen.
Amen, amen. Well, we're closing out this show, and everybody, I just want you to, if anybody missed it, go to the archives. It shall be out there on our Facebook page, Let's Talk Kingdom with Catrina. And I love you guys. Thanks so much for taking the time to tune in. And again, same time, same place, same day next week. We'll see you then. And as I always close out my show, let's talk. See you later. Love you.
Good night.
Thanks, Mr. Mentor.
Thank you, Catrina.
God bless. Good night.